Rudolph Rudy Farias was reported missing almost a decade ago. He was 17 years old. That was over 8 years ago on March 7, 2015, when Rudy's mother first reported him missing. She said he had last been seen on Valley Lake Drive in the northeast area of the city, where she said he was walking his 2 dogs when he disappeared. The dogs were later found, but unfortunately, Rudy was not. His mother told HPD that he suffered from anxiety, depression, and asthma, and when he left the house, he did not have his inhaler. HPD later said that they went to the home multiple times while investigating his disappearance and spoke with family, friends, and neighbors. Volunteers with the Texas Search and Rescue Organization also dedicated time and resources looking for Rudy all over the city, but they never found the teenager. Then over a year later, after Rudy's mysterious disappearance, his case was featured in a piece on missing children from the area. It was aired on the local news. His mother appeared to be a grieving mom, coping with the devastating disappearance of her son.
I'm afraid. He hasn't checked his Facebook. He hasn't checked emails. Just nothing.
It's been that way for more than a year. No word, no signs of Rudolph Rudy Farias, a 17-year-old Pasadena high school student and his mom's only living son.
It happened too fast. He disappeared.
Rudy was last seen walking his dogs right down here along Park Avenue that evening. He should have returned home in about 15 minutes, but his mom never saw him again.
He has such a huge heart. He loves with all his heart. So that's why we know that he wouldn't just get up and go on his own. That's not him. It's a nightmare that you want to wake up from.
But like so many other parents of missing kids, without answers, the nightmare continues.
That's what's killing me inside.
His mother, identified as Janie Santana, cried for the news while telling the story of how her only living son vanished. Back then, Santana said detectives warned her and her family members that Rudy may have been abducted and sold. Fast forward to more than 8 years later, on June 29, 2023, Rudy was found in front of a Houston church about 25 minutes away from where he was last seen in 2015. Now 25 years old, he was not talking and had cuts and bruises on his body. It didn't take long. Within hours, the lies started unraveling, lies told by his mother for over 8 years. And it turns out Rudy was never really missing at all. Take a second to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell for all updates. Rudy was reported missing by his mother over 8 years ago. In 2015, he was 17 years old at the time. Now he's 25 years old, and now we're finding out that his mother lied to police the entire time. The truth is, Rudy came home the next day after his mother reported him missing. Yes, at his mother's house, while his mother continued to tell everybody that she didn't know where he was.
Police today say the 25-year-old Houston man reported missing by his mother for 8 years actually returned home the next day in 2015. 25-year-old Rudy Farias was said to have been found just recently outside a church. Police today say during that time he did have interactions with police, but he and his mother misled them on his identity.
He made contact with patrol officers out on the street. However, during these contacts, fictitious names and date of births were given, misleading the officers, and Rudy would remain missing.
Neighbors have said they'd see Farias at his mother's home, but she claimed he was her nephew instead and insisted that Rudy was still missing.
Not only did Santana lie to police for years and got on TV lying and crying, trying to make the public feel sorry for her, but she also contacted private investigators to help her find her son, who she claimed had been held hostage in Mexico.
Rudy Farias' family, friends, and neighbors weren't the only people fooled. There were 4 private investigators who were recruited by the mom, Janie Santana, in 2015 to help find her son. She recruited investigators, a son, it appears, who was not missing the entire time, and she knew it. They were sent on a wild goose chase as far as Mexico. Ryan Grayson was one of those investigators. He joins me live now. Thank you for being here, Ryan. I've really been looking forward to talking to you all day because you've got all this interesting new information from the inside. First of all, tell me how you got involved with the case and this mom.
I was brought into the case by a few other investigators that were already working the Houston, Texas side. I was asked to do some tasks in Mexico, and that's how I was brought in.
So what led you to Mexico?
Well, Janie had said that a lady had called her from a number in Mexico, and she said that the lady was holding Rudy captive. So I do a lot of work in Mexico. I'm kind of known as the private investigator in the industry that does the work in Mexico. And so I contacted some friends of mine that were in the Policía Federal, the federal police in Mexico, and I had them trace the number to a landline, and then I had them do a welfare check at the residence. And of course, Rudy was not there. And then I contacted the lady myself, and she told me that she had already told Rudy's mother that she didn't want to be involved in the scam that Rudy's mother was trying to pull off.
So did you know in that moment that this was a scam? I mean, when did it start to unravel for you?
At that moment, I knew that there was obviously, that was a red flag. There was also other red flags that I saw from different information that I got from other investigators.
Local community activist Quanell X got involved. He offered support to Rudy. Feeling comfortable with X, Rudy disclosed some disgusting details surrounding his mother and what she did to him.
Houston community activist Quanell X, family members, and neighbors stand in front of a podium to let the public in on details they believe police are not releasing.
I talked with the investigator who worked on Rudy's case for years. She told me things that she said she reported to HPD over the years. And she wanted HPD to investigate the mother. She told them she thought the mother was involved.
They're covering up what they knew years ago, and they didn't want to come out.
Michelle Rodriguez is the cousin to Rudy Farias, and she alleges she has firsthand information on the abuse he has endured.
Prior to Rudy's disappearance, his so-called disappearance, his mother had been seen by my late grandma of causing abuse to Rudy. Physically, mentally. This did not just start when Janie reported Rudy missing.
The district attorneys has declined to press charges for the fake reports and failure to identify. There were no reports of abuse made by Rudy Farias.
Janie needs to be brought in.
Quanell X says the mother raised funds to look for her son, only to take vacations in the place of searching for him.
It's all going to come out. You can't hide. Nothing's going to be hidden anymore. So whatever you think you can hide, good luck, it's coming out.
This is still an active investigation, and according to investigators, new leads are coming in.
APRC2's Bryce Newberry is live in the Magnolia Park area, less than a mile from where Rudy Farias was found, where family members reunited with him tonight. Bryce?
Keith, Daniela, we spoke with Rudy Farias' aunt last night, and she told us that the truth was finally starting to come to light. She never believed her nephew was missing for all these years. And tonight, after Houston police confirmed that's true, she wants more to be done. After 8 long years,
very beautiful to see him, that he's okay.
Rudy Farias' aunt Pauline.
He's skinny, but he's okay.
Finally got to see him tonight.
We hugged until I finally let go.
The 25-year-old reported missing at age 17 showed up outside this Magnolia Park church a week ago, but Houston police say he wasn't actually missing all this time.
Rudy returned home the following day on March 8th, 2015.
They followed up on tips, but say his mother deceived police, insisting friends and family were seeing her nephew, not her son.
Both Janie, Rudy's mother, and Rudy himself gave fictitious names while interacting with various patrol officers.
You have a lot of family members who questioned her story. They just didn't believe Janie Santana. And some years ago, they even called the cops to go over there.
It's just we've always, in our hearts, knew that he wasn't really missing.
During those 8 years, his cousin Cassandra Lopez says she called 911 in 2018 after family members saw Farias at his mother's home. She says their grandmother told her she spoke with Rudy often.
And how did those conversations go when she would talk about Rudy?
She would just say, I saw Rudy, he came to check on me, and, we just said hello and have their little conversation. She never went into detail, but she would say she saw him.
HPD says officers responded but didn't find him. Neighbors tell me Farias has been living with his mother this entire time, but they know him by the name Dolph. Did you ever notice anything suspicious over there?
No, when he talked to us, he doesn't say too much on who he really is. We just know that he lives down here with his mom. He goes to work with her around 6 p.m. to maybe 7 or 8 in the morning, and he just been freely walking down the streets.
Neighbors shared this text message appearing to show a conversation between Farias' mother and the neighbor, where she identifies herself as Dolph's mom. Lopez hopes Farias is safe enough to tell his story.
I mean, half of his life is almost, or a quarter of his life's already been taken away from him. It's just not right. He didn't deserve that. Nobody deserves that.
She says it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out.
And one thing that a lot of people they're not talking about is how his grandmother protected his mother and didn't do anything to rescue her grandson. And we all know the reason why she didn't want to say anything, because she did not want his mother getting in trouble.
That's right, Rudy. Neighbors tell me they saw Rudy and his mother here in their driveway at their home. They say the mother did not stay long, but she did appear to be worried about being arrested. From a distance, neighbors took video of Rudy Farias' mother loading up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't report it to the police, and they're trying to say that he might have done some crimes, which he didn't, and now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Neighbors also told us that Rudy's mother asked them not to talk to the news after he was found, but again, they have spoken with us.
Now you have family members very upset because Houston PD decided not to file charges against Rudy's mother.
But take a look. This was a press conference this morning where we learned that investigators say that Rudy disappeared on March 7th of 2015, but he came home the next day. They say the mother continued to deceive police and alleged it was a nephew and not Rudy who was the one living with her. The police department says the DA's office declined any charges for making fictitious reports. When police were asked if Rudy was sexually, they could not comment on that and could not say if Rudy was a victim or not. But here's what they had to say about the alleged sex.
Now, based on Rudy's interview, there were no reports of sexual abuse reported. If there is a disclosure made, we will continue to investigate.
All they had to do was bring her in and question her, bring Rudy in, take him to get evaluated, have medical records, because he has not been in a hospital.
And you just heard from Rudy's cousin. The family was not allowed at the press conference. They were watching the conference downstairs on the KHOU app. The family told me they're angry. They feel like they've been let down by HPD. They feel more could have been done to protect Rudy. And they say although Rudy is an adult man, they feel he's a victim in all of this. And they tell me his mom has brainwashed him to think this is all okay now.
Absolute liars.
Oh, man.
That man heard everything that I heard.
These are blessed waters from my mom.
I'm standing here speaking the truth of what Rudy said to me. And I'm standing here fighting for that young man. I begged the detective, don't allow Rudy to go home with this woman. Don't allow Rudy to leave with this woman. I begged them to do something to stop him. I said to the detective, all three of them, after what you and I just heard in that room with that young man, how in the hell can you allow that boy to leave with that woman? And the detective said to me, because he is an adult, there's not a lot we can do about it. The detective, I also said to him, I said, sir, you know everything that young boy just told us. You cannot allow him to leave with her. That young boy told us how she would lock him in a room and leave him locked in there. That young boy told us how she would give him drugs, mushrooms as he called them. That young boy talked about how the drugs would cause him to hallucinate. She lied and told me when I first talked to her that the Hispanic young man that was seen here was her ex-boyfriend. And then when we were in the meeting with the detectives, she said it was her nephew. She'd been telling lies for years. So you mean to tell me, Houston Police Department, this woman can tell multiple lies to law enforcement. She can raise money all on GoFundMe pages. I talked with the investigator for at length today who worked on this case for years, the private investigator. She would raise money for Miss Jenny. And one time she said when she raised the money for her, she only came for 5 minutes, picked up the $2,000 and drove off and left and didn't even thank the people who was raising the money on behalf of Rudy to look for him. I cannot believe and I refuse to believe that there's not a single charge that they can come up with to put this woman in jail so a judge can tell her you can have no contact with the victim, just like you do in domestic violence cases. If a man gets arrested for putting his hands on a wife, God forbid, they tell him that you cannot have any contact with the victim. Rudy is a victim.
Rudy told X that his mother brainwashed him, she lied to him, she would give him substances to subdue him, and she even forced inappropriate relations with her own son. Now, if this had been a man accused of any of this, a man who had lied about a girl's whereabouts for 8 years, and everybody found out about it, where would he be? And what kind of charges would he have? But this lying, disgusting, wicked witch is out free. She was all on the news crying, raising money on GoFundMe over the years, just straight up lying.
I'm afraid. He hasn't checked his Facebook. He hasn't checked emails.
She's been a self-deformer for a very long time.
Court records filed in Harris County show Santana has gone by at least 5 different last names. Records also show that Santana has been married multiple times, and at least one of those marriages was voided because an ex claims she was married to at least 2 other people at the same time.
This nasty, lying Teletubby should be locked up right now and thrown under the jail forever. Lock her up. I don't understand why they're not pressing charges. Nobody cares. There's no outrage only because he's a male. If this was a female, this would be a total different story, different outcome, everything. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started below. Tell me what you think about this bizarre story. Thank you to Robert P., Andrew, Melvinia, and Trey Shell. I appreciate all of you for your support. Don't forget that you can support this channel as well. Links to Cash App and PayPal are below. Ladies, fellas, want a balanced analysis, want the truth from a woman's perspective? Then you're going to want to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like and share.